What's up YouTube, and welcome back to Life with Lamb, where we talk about how to make small changes that have big impacts. Today we're going to be talking about how to get what you want by identifying and setting meaningful goals. If you're looking for ways to get the best out of yourself and to stop wasting your own time, then this is the video for you. And at the end of the video, we'll be going over some quick tips on how to know exactly what you want. Sound good? Let's go. Outside of YouTube, I'm a high school teacher. And as a teacher, I have students come to me with all sorts of goals and aspirations. Get into med school, get a scholarship, maintain a 70 average, maybe just pass the test. Goals come in all shapes and sizes. But there are certain goals that I almost never hear, and there's one that I want to talk about specifically: getting 100% in my course. Most years at the beginning of the semester, I like to ask my students what they hope to achieve in my course. I ask my kids to close their eyes and put up their hand when I call out a mark range. More often than not, I get mostly 70s and 80s. I'll get a handful of 60s and 90s, and sometimes I'll have one or two 50s. But when I call out 100, all the hands go down. So every year I ask the same question: why doesn't anybody want 100% in my course? And every year one of my kids will say something like, "Well, sir, 100% is just unrealistic." Or they'll explain to me that they want to give themselves a little bit of leeway so that it's more likely that they'll reach their goal and less likely that they'll be disappointed. Story time. Back when I was a student, one of my teachers had a poster hanging up in their classroom. You've probably seen it. Shoot for the moon, and even if you miss, you'll land among the stars. It hung beside a poster of Michael Jordan that said, "You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take." Looking back, they weren't the best posters factually. As a child, the moon poster really messed with my idea of where the moon and the stars were relative to each other. And I'm pretty sure that Wayne Gretzky is the one who was credited with the shots quote, but I could be wrong. Despite all that, the most disappointing thing about those posters was that while they hung on the wall telling us kids to aim high and take risks, my teacher's message didn't always match. I had classmates that said they wanted to be lawyers or engineers who were told that maybe they should consider a different career. I had classmates who said they were going to ace the next test who were told that maybe they should set their expectations a little bit lower. Even now, I still hear adults telling kids to set what they call realistic expectations. I don't like to use the word realistic, so maybe I'm not the best person to tell you what it means. But a quick Google search tells you that the definition of realistic is having or showing a sensible and practical idea of what can be achieved or expected. A sensible idea of what can be achieved or expected. It's not a bad definition, except that it leaves out a lot of really important things when it comes to goals. Things like how much effort is practical and how many attempts is considered sensible. I mean, yes, okay, it's definitely unrealistic to expect 100% if you don't put any work in. You can't sit on your butt all semester and then be surprised when you don't ace the exam. But what if you've got a plan in place? What if you've got a study schedule that gets you ready days before each test? Work habits that keep you motivated and efficient? The willingness to ask for help when you need it. Is 100% still unrealistic then? See, I have a bit of a different view of what realistic means nowadays. I think that a lot of people have the words realistic and possible mixed up. Like when someone tells you to be more realistic, what they're really saying is that they don't believe that you can achieve whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. And when a student tells me that they don't think that getting 100% is realistic, what they're really saying is that they don't think that getting 100% is possible. And let's be really clear here. Getting 100% is difficult, like really difficult, but it is definitely not impossible. And let's move away from this school analogy for a second. Benching 800 pounds is really difficult. I mean, shoot, benching 300 pounds is really difficult, but it's not impossible. Ryan Kennelly is the world record holder for the bench press at 1,075 pounds. Now, I don't know Ryan Kennelly, but I can guarantee you that when Ryan Kennelly told people that he was going after the world record for the bench press, at least one person told him to be more realistic. I can also guarantee you that Ryan Kennelly did not listen to that person. Probably bench pressed him into outer space. See, the problem that people have with goals isn't in how difficult a goal is to achieve. The problem is in the fear of failure, the fear of disappointment, the fear of ridicule. What if I tell everyone that I'm gonna work really hard and achieve this goal, and I don't? We're so afraid to fail, and we're so afraid for others to see us fail that we don't even aim for greatness anymore. We look at difficult goals and we label them as unrealistic so that we can excuse ourselves from even trying. We limit ourselves to setting goals that we can achieve easily. But think about it. If all you're doing is setting realistic goals, goals that you're pretty sure that you can achieve without too much effort, then what's the point of setting goals at all? When all you're doing is lining up realistic goals for yourself, then all you're doing is just patting yourself on the back for doing an okay average job. A job that anyone would expect you to be able to do anyway. And worse, you're wasting time that you could be using to work towards something more meaningful. Ruth Soukup once said, if your goal doesn't scare you, it's not big enough. I'd like to put my own spin on it. If your goal doesn't scare you, it's not a goal. It's just an ego boost. See, fear is a survival mechanism. Fear releases adrenaline. Fear is a motivator. We've all heard of fight or flight. If your goals don't scare you, then you'll never get the fight or flight response. You'll never know if that goal is something worth fighting for, or if it's something that you'll decide isn't worth your time. And it's important to understand that there is a huge difference between deciding that you won't pursue something and being afraid to try. There is absolutely nothing wrong with deciding that a goal is no longer important to you, that it's not worth the time and effort it would take to accomplish it. Nobody can accomplish everything. And that's okay because that is a choice that you make. It's not that you think the goal is impossible, you've just decided that it is not your priority. And that small shift in mindset makes a world of difference. And another thing, never let someone else tell you that your goals are unrealistic. They may not believe in you, and for them, maybe your goal is impossible. They can't do it, so they don't want you to do it either. But you have to believe in yourself. If your unrealistic goal is something that you truly want, then find a way to accomplish it. Test and push your limits. Work and fail and do it proudly, whatever it takes to achieve your goal. Every time you fail, and you may fail many times, take a look at where you are, take a look at what can be improved, and try again. Goals do not have to be one and done. And the truth is, for me at least, I would much rather celebrate someone who failed in the pursuit of greatness than someone who succeeded at being mediocre. So, okay, I get it. I don't want to just do easy and realistic. I want to be the best me. So how do I set these meaningful goals? Well, I'm glad you asked. Tip number 1, be specific. Hammer out every aspect of the goal that you want to achieve. How will you know if you've achieved your goal if you're not even sure what that goal really is? Make sure your goals are measurable so that you know exactly what you're aiming for. If you want to make more money, how much money exactly? If you want to make more friends, how many conversations with new people are you planning to have per week? And give yourself deadlines so that it keeps you accountable. It's easy to let a goal slide if there's no time limit. Tip number 2, break it down. It's so easy to get overwhelmed by a goal when you leave it as a single gargantuan task. But your finish line doesn't have to be the only marker that you judge your success by. If your finish line is a million miles away, it can be really hard to recognize the hundreds of miles that you've already traveled. So break your goal down into smaller chunks that allow you to see how close you are to your desired endpoint and how far you've already come. Let each small accomplishment push you towards the next accomplishment, and before you know it, you'll already be there. Tip number 3, set constant reminders. Life is so busy that it's easy to forget all of the little intricacies of your goal if it's not staring you in the face. Write your goal on a sticky note and put it somewhere that you're gonna see it. Your fridge, your desk, your TV. Shoot, why not make it your cell phone background? And every time that you see it, take a second to think about it. Is your goal exactly what you want it to be? If it is, great. But if it isn't, no worries. Feel free to make adjustments. Keep tweaking it until it looks and feels exactly the way that you want it to. So there you have it, the first step towards getting what you want by identifying and setting meaningful goals. In the comments below, let me know what you think of this video. Tell me about your most unrealistic goals and all the specifics that go along with it. Next week, we'll be dropping part 2 of the goal series where we'll be talking about how to achieve meaningful goals once we've set them. So make sure to hit that notification bell so that you know exactly when it gets posted. As always, I really hope you gained something from this video. And if you want to support this channel, then please hit those like and subscribe buttons. Thank you so much for stopping by. Be good, and let's make today an awesome day. Take care.